Please do not be alarmed, remain calm. Do not attempt to leave the dance floor.
Hello, Hive! Welcome! Today I wanted to dive a little bit into Beyoncé's trilogy, specifically take a look at the theories linked to the final act. Look, we spent the last 4 years living through a cultural shift. First, Renaissance gave us the club, the queer roots of house, and Miss Renee. Iconic. Then Cowboy Carter reclaimed country and reminded the world that is black music. But now, the air is different. Everybody seems to be in agreement, the wait is almost over, we've collectively decided that 2026 is the year. The year when we are finally closing the loop on Giselle's most ambitious project yet. So I have decided to conduct a little troubleshoot test to prepare myself and maybe help others prepare for the upcoming final act. But before jumping into things, I wanted to give you a quick overview. In this video, we'll look at some theories regarding the release date, the title, the colors, the horse, the media, and also take a small dip into the Ecoville theory. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, first let's talk release date. If you're on the Hive side of Beyoncé's internet, you might already know that the agreed on date is May 29, 2026. But why? Well, there are a number of reasons I've seen discussed, but I think Lore Breaker's video on TikTok had the best breakdown. First, there is the Friday 29th pattern. Beyoncé is famously the reason the industry shifted to Friday releases back in 2013. Now, looking at the trilogy, Renaissance was released on Friday, July 29, while Cowboy Carter on Friday, March 29. If she's keeping this 2-year cycle, the next window is 2026. And guess what? In the entire year of 2026, there is only one Friday the 29th, and it's in May. Plus, if the final act is truly the ultimate rock and roll reclamation album, Beyoncé will likely be looking to her idol, Tina Turner, the queen of rock and roll herself, for inspiration. Tina's legendary comeback album, Private Dancer, which redefined her career and helped her reclaim her power, was also released on May 29. In 1984. And if you still need more confirmation, anyone who is part of the Hive knows that Giselle doesn't really usually talk to us, and at best pops up unannounced. However, this year she will be one of the co-chairs at the Met Gala, which will take place in May. Now that we've established our release date, let's dive into the frontrunners for the album title. The Beyhive has been working overtime, and honestly, some of these dots do connect. First, we have the Betty theory. One of the loudest theories circulating is Black Betty or Petty Betty, which would be an homage to Betty Davis, the icon and pioneer of funk rock who essentially invented the wild child aesthetic. Plus, Beyoncé has referenced the Black Betty tour before. If this act is about reclaiming the black roots of rock and roll, Betty Davis makes sense. The second theory was shared by Lore Breakers on TikTok, who believes that the title will be Candy Apple Green. According to this creator, the title might be hiding in plain sight, meaning in Cowboy Carter, just like the title of Act 1 can be heard in Levi's jeans. Specifically, we see this lyric in Two Hands to Heaven. Plus, it is a color also connected to the Renaissance era, with green lights appearing when she was performing Alien Superstar, and she was dressed in green in the leaked footage of when she was filming Break My Soul. I think it's important to look at the symbolism of the color. Green often represents aliens, echoing the Renaissance sci-fi vibes, as well as envy, which is also made clear in the cozy lyrics Green Eyes Envy Me, as well as in her collab with Travis Scott, The Resto. Here, Beyoncé may be talking about the envy that pushes white people to take sounds from the black community, as well as that directed at her and her success. I do think this theory has merit, but if the title was truly in Cowboy Carter, wouldn't it be in Yaya or Spaghetti? Since those tracks aren't on Beyoncé, they might be the bridge to the last act. Spaghetti even gives us the line, Country, country, petty, 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 which is believed to reference the trilogy. Now, this one I've come up with, I think. Sometimes I don't know if I've ever read an original thought. I think the title might be Real Wild Girl. This would be a beautiful tribute to the late Tina Turner, whose nickname was the Wild Lady of Rock and Roll. Given B's career-long reverence for Tina, this could be a beautiful homage. I came up with this theory of it being a lyric from All Up in Your Mind because I noticed the lights turning red the few times she performed this song. Plus, in this section of the song, she mentions 3 words. And since according to a lot of fans the title should be made up of 3 words, since Act 1 was 1 word, Renaissance, and Act 2 was 2, Cowboy Carter, it could make sense. Plus, if we take into account the fact that Renaissance was originally supposed to be Act 2, it would also make sense for the title of the final act to be in this album. We also know that the Horse Lady loves a double entendre. 2 heavy hitters being discussed are Roc Nation and Revolution. Roc Nation could be a cheeky play on the name of Jay-Z's company, but literal, she's creating a real Roc Nation. Then we have Revolution. This word is the heartbeat of this trilogy. It appears in My House throughout the Cowboy Carter visuals and was also mentioned by her work husband, Kendrick Lamar. Okay, now let's get into the colors. Silver, gold, and the coming fire. The visual language of this trilogy is extremely powerful. If we look at the evolution of Beyoncé's wardrobe from the stage to her perfume bottles, there is a distinct color story unfolding. Act 1, the silver of Renaissance. Her house of chrome with maybe a hint of green, as we've talked about before. Renaissance was defined by silver. The aesthetic was all about mirrors and chrome, including the Scent Noir bottle, glitter, and disco futurism. Then we have Act 2, the gold rush of Cowboy Carter. As we shifted into the desert of Cowboy Carter, the palette warmed up significantly. With this era, we traded chrome for gold as captured by the sun-drenched Lumiere bottle. Of course, we also can't ignore the red, white, and blue of the Americana aesthetic, having on the denim, leather, and western fringe. This brings us to the finale, which could be the Red and Black Revolution. Funny enough, Red and Black is also a song from the musical Les Miserables, which is about the French Revolution. Interesting, isn't it? So, if Act 1 was silver and Act 2 was gold, the final act is looking like it's going to be red and black. The Loewe bodysuit she wore during the Renaissance World Tour is our codex. She had a silver one, a gold one, and a red one. Not to mention she also wore a red outfit for a Verizon commercial during the Super Bowl when she announced Cowboy Carter. Let's also pay attention to the dancers. In the Renaissance era, their hair was silver or platinum blonde. During the Cowboy Carter transition, we saw more red tones, which may have been a hint. Now rumors are swirling that the hair may be getting even darker. Could we be seeing a transition to jet black or deep crimson? Do we see the vision? Let me know. This brings us to our new section, the horses. If there is one consistent symbol in this trilogy, it's the horse. But these aren't just animals, they are the horsemen of Giselle's musical apocalypse. Let's take a look at these horses, keeping in mind the Sweet Honey Bucking lyric, Pretty as hell au naturel, dining on farce. For Renaissance, we have Renee, the silver horse, Miss Pretty as hell. Her pose is static. She might represent the pale horse of the apocalypse, often associated with death and rebirth or Renaissance. For Cowboy Carter, we have Chardonnay, the white horse. Miss Au Naturel, she is seen galloping. The white horse signifies conquest and victory, which makes sense as Cowboy Carter was a reconquering of a genre that tried to shut her out. This white horse might also be of a specific breed that is born black or brown and turns white, a metaphor for the transformation and whitewashing of country music history and the other genres she came to reclaim. This brings us to the final horse, Miss Dining on Farce. A farce is horseplay or buffoonery. Essentially, it could represent industry or societal lies. Not gonna lie, when it comes to the final act, I'm split between 2 biblical omens. The black horse of famine or the red horse of war. The rider of the black horse holds scales, symbolizing a reweighing of justice. And in one of the photos from the Renaissance era, if you look closely behind Renee, you can see a white horse, the horse of Cowboy Carter, and a black horse rearing. Then we have the red horse of war. Given the rock influence, a red horse representing war makes total sense. This is the Revolution era. The horse motorcycle in the photo for Yaya on the album is surrounded by red and fire, and on her British Vogue cover, the horse is red. This might also mean that she has already given us a red horse, though. I'm still undecided. Do you guys think it's going to be black or red? I've also been thinking about what kind of horse we might be getting. A strong theory is that the Act 3 horse isn't flesh and bone, but a machine. We've seen hints of a motorcycle in the British Vogue shoot and the Levi's ad, as well as in the Yaya artwork, where she's posing by a hybrid horse motorcycle. Since Yaya is her most rock-heavy track on Cowboy Carter, this theory makes sense. But there is also the matter of the gold mechanical horse which she rode during the Cowboy Carter tour, and is seen on the Ecoville poster in silver. Could there be a black or red version? If instead the horse is real, it may be in a rearing up pose as seen in the picture. Or perhaps it could be bucking as foreshadowed in Cowboy Carter. We could also have a regular horse on the front cover of the album and the mechanical horse on the back, or vice versa. I'm still conflicted at this point. Now, this section is going to be very brief. I've just been thinking about the "he who controls the media controls the mind" line that could be seen during the Renaissance tour. Throughout these tours, B has been referencing the media a lot, especially during America Has a Problem, with Canty News the first tour and the newspaper outfit with Cowboy Carter. So, if we take the line from Spaghetti, Canty Country, Petty Petty Petty, we can try and decipher what kind of media she may reference in the new album. The idea is that we have Country News for Renaissance and Country News for Cowboy Carter. Could we have something like a petty paper for the final act? Just food for thought. Finally, we've looked at the titles, the colors, and the horses, but where is this all actually taking place? All signs point to a dystopian hub known as Ecoville, which honestly could be its own video. So, what is Ecoville? Ecoville isn't just a place, it is a system of control. Think of it as a digital or social prison, or, if you wish, the Emerald City. But this might be just my desire for a collab with Ari talking. It could potentially be where the revolution is taking place. Let's start with the echo. The echo could represent a media loop where information is repeated until the truth is drowned out. It's the myth versus the reality, the American myth or dream, or even the Beyoncé myth constructed by the media and the public. God is God, I am not. Hello Formation World Tour, we miss you every day. The mass media and their propaganda are weapons, which Beyoncé has been warning us about. From the continuous segments to the newspaper bodysuit to her interludes. Now, let's look at the snow. Did you notice the snow falling over the Cowboy Carter visuals in the Ecoville poster? It could represent history being frozen in time or buried. It's the whitewashing of Black history, a real sunken place where Black identity is suppressed by a logical mainstream white narrative. The anthem is the song The Resto, a song about trying to silence and escape the noise, the propaganda and the curated lies of social media to find what is actually true and what we actually care about. The shift from the Golden Far West, Cowboy Carter, or the original Act 1, to the futuristic Silver City, Renaissance, or the original Act 2, seen in the poster, could represent the burial of Black history under the white snow of systemic propaganda. Here Beyoncé could be both the outlaw and the alien. The outlaw looking for and digging up the gold, which could be a symbol of the buried ideas and ideals of the American dream, or of Black culture and history and the Black origin of these genres, as well as the alien, broadcasting a new frequency, trying to liberate people and usher in a new era. Also, Black genius, or her genius, could be so ahead of its time that it may appear as extraterrestrial. On the other hand, the symbol of the alien might also be a reference to the fact that, now that these genres are seen as white, Black people are alienated and excluded and seen as not belonging. Plus, if we look at history, which we know can't be erased, alienation and racialization have always gone hand in hand. So, in order to achieve full liberation after releasing the body with Renaissance and reclaiming the soul with Cowboy Carter, Is there going to be a rebellion or a violent struggle in Echoville for the final act? I guess we will have to wait and see. Wow, okay, I hope you're still with me now that we have reached the final symbols, honey and the hive. Queen Bee is no stranger to referencing honey, but she has truly highlighted this word by using it in two songs, Pure Honey and Sweet Honey Bucking. So let's try and see where she fits in our breakdown. In Echoville, honey could represent the sugar-coated lies fed to the public. It's the allure of the American dream or of the Beyoncé myth, and it's used to mask the struggle going on underneath. By dressing as the alien Queen Bee during the Renaissance World Tour, Beyoncé may be satirizing her own fame. She's playing into the witchcraft and mind control allegations, seizing the broadcast to reprogram the masses, or the hive with her own message of liberation. I believe we're going to see another honey song on the next album, and I like to speculate that it might be the Lady Gaga collab, our Telephone Part 2. Since in the music video for that song, Beyoncé talks about the man in the video as always stealing her honey, which to me, in the context of this trilogy, could serve as a metaphor for white people constantly taking from the black community. I know it may be a stretch, but I don't know, I kind of like the idea. What do you guys think? Okay, we've made it. Thank you so much for listening to me ramble on about some of my favorite theories. Let me know yours in the comments. Bye for now, I guess.